As 2023 comes to an end, the businessmen in the natural stone industry are already starting to think of 2024. Now, what are going to be the different factors that are going to influence our industry and the different companies? Here's a short summary. During the last 2 decades, those living in the European Union and the United States and the developed world in general have got used to low inflation and very cheap money. That has led to debt, but it has also led to a lot of construction activity, a lot of house building. That environment has changed. With higher inflation over the last 2 years, the mortgage rates rising, home renovation activity has gone down. And when inflation is high and construction companies don't know how much their project will cost, at what price, or whether they'll be able to sell what they are building, they opt to paralyze the project or even cancel it. The natural stone industry for the last 2 years has not noticed so much this phenomenon because it was busy installing stone for the projects that had already begun and were in the completion phase. Now in 2024 and maybe even 2025, they will start noticing the effects of this paralysis at the level of architecture studios and the construction companies bringing the projects into implementation. Now, it is also true that in the last few months, the inflation started going down. And when inflation starts going down, mortgage rates follow. They too should go down a few months later. Now, what will be the situation next year, say around July? We don't know that, of course. But if mortgage rates start going down, at least home renovation activity and home selling, that activity might start increasing. That's one hope. As for projects, it's not going to be a good year in the developed world. The developing world is used to medium level of inflation. That's where the construction activity takes place. That inflation rate and those mortgage rates haven't really changed all that much, and so are not so much affected by this new phenomenon. If there is one element that best defines the reality of the stone industry today, it is the excess of supply over demand of natural stone, no matter what material it may be and from where it comes. Now add to it the amount of slabs made of quartz in the market and the big format slabs in huge volumes that are also available. And they all have to pass through the same door, the fabricators, which explains why the margins for the quarry owners and for the factory owners are getting tighter and tighter. So the big questions are, if this is the reality, what makes you think 2024 will be different? And second, what do you plan to do about it? For over 2 years now, it has become evident that the slowdown in China in the construction industry is serious. Now, when a real estate bubble collapses, it takes a long time before normality returns. All kinds of problems come to the surface. Real estate companies have problems, bank loans are not being given, houses remain unfinished, unsold. It's messy. However, there are still hundreds, if not thousands, of Chinese companies who are still there in the stone market. They are formidable competitors. They will continue to be there in international markets. One other thing that we have been noticing, the Chinese are now actually incorporating much more design than before in anything related to natural stone. That's one trend that needs to be watched in 2024. Perhaps the most dynamic market in the natural stone industry currently right now is India. But there are two aspects to this market. First of all, it is not completely open to the foreign companies. And then there are two faces to the natural stone industry. The part that is geared to the international market, the slab producers, the tombstone manufacturers, the exporters of blocks, they are struggling. But those companies that are geared only toward the local market in projects, whether they be in the north or the south, they are doing well, and they are going to be doing better year after year. Not many people know that the city of Mumbai is where the maximum number of cranes are working right now, all over the world. In an otherwise somber economic environment for 2024, there are actually some dynamic markets. The energy-rich Gulf markets are quite well. Saudi Arabia is booming. So is the Emirates. Indonesia is doing quite well and growing fast. Mexico is picking up. India, of course, as we said, is going to be doing very well too. The problem comes when, for example, for the Brazilian producers, their overdependence on the United States market, or for the Turks, who tend to be undercutting in prices all the time, no matter where they are. That's the bad side. Two major developments took place in 2023 related to quartz, and they may have a significant impact in 2024. First was the persistent negative coverage in the mass media of the world of quartz and the silicosis cases that are coming up all over the world. Now that is creating definitely a negative image of the material. In the United States, it is estimated that 60 to 80% of the kitchen countertops are made of quartz. If the demand of quartz starts falling, that is going to be a major development. One new trend that has been observed recently, even the stone industry professionals in USA are now becoming wary regarding the use of quartz. Let's see how it goes. The second major development was the new number of factories that have come up in countries like India and Far East Asia countries and elsewhere. The production of quartz has now multiplied tremendously. It is estimated, for example, that 2/3 of the demand of just the US market can be fulfilled by factories in India. There simply isn't enough market for that much volume. 2024 might see a bloodbath in the world of quartz. The big format porcelain slabs has been the biggest disrupting factor for the natural stone industry over the last few years. It has actually accelerated the decline in demand for natural stone. Now, what is also happening within the porcelain industry is there are so many new factories coming up all over the world. In fact, they already have come up. The prices are going down all the time. Profitability in the porcelain industry is actually shrunk in a dramatic manner. But that is not good news for us either, because porcelain continues to gain market share whenever convenience, price, and speed of installation are important criteria for the specifiers. How things are going to work out next year, we don't know. But porcelain is going to continue to be the major threat for natural stone in its traditional applications. One of the most interesting phenomena of 2024 is going to be to see in which kind of trade shows natural stone companies start exhibiting. Are they starting to go in greater numbers in fairs aimed at interior designers, or for furniture, or for any new application? That will be the key. That will tell us whether the natural stone industry is entering a phase of revival once again. Public sector projects have become very relevant in the European Union, with all and the survival of the granite companies in the Iberian Peninsula and the quarries in the Nordic countries depends so much now on the amount of pavements and parks and urbanization projects that are taking place. The big question, however, is with all the pressure to reduce debt and control spending, will the governments continue to make the same amount of spending on these projects? Sustainability and APDs are becoming increasingly important criteria for projects in Europe and the United States too. However, in its totality of the stone industry, it really is not much of an issue. Who on earth is going to ask for an EPD if all you're doing is cladding a 20 square meter wall? However, there's another aspect too. Even in major projects, we are seeing that the construction companies are giving more importance to costs, deadlines, and installation speed. Sometimes that does not benefit the natural stone industry, even though in any sustainability criteria, natural stone comes out winning. Now, will the architects and specifiers become more sensible to this criteria? Let's see. Government mining policies vary from country to country, but they're all moving in the same direction. Environmental concerns have now become a top priority. For the natural stone businessman, it really means it's more and more difficult to open quarries and operate them, and it's very expensive to close them either. That trend is going to continue. That's the new reality of the natural stone industry. A major differentiator between natural stone and the artificial materials is textures and new finishes. Too little has been done by the natural stone industry till now. However, progress has been made this year in 2023. Is it too little? Is it too late? We don't know. But the industry will continue to need to investigate and experiment and bring out new textures and new finishes. There is simply no alternative. During this year, more and more companies finally came to the conclusion that the current business model was not going to serve them anymore for the future, and perhaps not even guarantee survival. That the need to develop new applications was an absolute urgency. What are we going to see in 2024? Which new application is going to finally take off? Probably furniture, most likely exterior furniture. Let us see. As of end of November, no one can predict how the war in Ukraine will end and what turn the conflict in Gaza will take. But one thing is clear, nothing good comes out of these kind of events. Let's hope for the very best. In recent times, something unexpected seems to be happening all over the world, all the time. And it really turns the world upside down. Moreover, there is no way to even predict it. Call it the X factor. Now, what will be the X factor in 2024? We don't know. Thank you. Have a good year.